The narrative of Justin Trudeau, Canada's 23rd Prime Minister, is one woven with aspirations, promises, and, ultimately, disillusionment. It is the story of a man who once captured the imagination of a nation, radiating youthful energy and dreams of real change, only to witness the eclipse of his political star under the burden of controversy, shifting public opinion, and the unforgiving demands of leadership. Here, then, is the saga of the peaks and valleys that marked his journey. The rise, a beacon of hope and promise, a legacy born in the spotlight. From the very moment of his birth in 1971, Justin Trudeau's life was destined to be anything but ordinary. Son of Pierre Trudeau, one of the most iconic leaders in Canadian history, Justin found himself not just in the spotlight, but in the shadows of an enormous legacy. Raised under the relentless gaze of the public, his path was one of privilege intertwined with the weight of national expectations. Yet, far from following in his father's footsteps immediately, Trudeau carved his own course: teacher, activist, and then, when the time was right, politician. His decision to step into the political arena was not a mere inheritance of power, but a bold declaration of intent to shape the future in his own image, reviving a party on the brink. By the time Trudeau became leader of the Liberal Party in 2013, the once mighty political powerhouse was gasping for relevance. The party had been humiliated in the 2011 election, reduced to third place, a shadow of its former self. But Trudeau's arrival felt like a gust of fresh air. His optimism, charm, and heartfelt appeal reinvigorated the party and the people who believed in it. He wasn't just a leader, he was a symbol of rebirth for a party that had lost its way. The 2015 election, a nation united in hope. When Trudeau campaigned on a promise of real change, Canadians responded with fervor. His platform, centered on economic reform, climate change, social justice, and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples, resonated deeply. The 2015 election wasn't just a political victory, it was a tidal wave of hope. The Liberals surged from third place to a majority government, winning 184 out of 338 seats. For many Canadians, it felt like the dawn of a new era, one where compassion and progress would guide the nation forward. Early years in office, a time of bold change. Trudeau's first term was marked by sweeping changes that captured the progressive spirit he championed. Economic reforms, a progressive tax system, middle-class tax cuts, and ambitious infrastructure spending reflected his commitment to economic fairness. Gender equality, his gender-balanced cabinet, was more than a photo op, it was a statement of values. Climate action and diplomacy. Trudeau stood tall on the world stage, most notably at the 2015 Paris Climate Accord, where he positioned Canada as a leader in the fight against climate change. Cannabis legalization. In 2018, Canada became one of the first major nations to legalize recreational cannabis, fulfilling a key campaign promise and cementing Trudeau's reputation as a reformer. With the United States still very much behind with its marijuana laws, Trudeau was able to successfully deliver a system for cannabis to be legal and purchased by its citizens. This is often a point forgotten, particularly by his former leftist followers. Populism and international appeal. Trudeau's charisma transcended borders. His progressive stance on immigration, women's rights, and global diplomacy made him a darling on the world stage. He became a symbol of a more inclusive, forward-looking Canada, admired internationally for his eloquence and idealism. He was once the young, handsome, debonair leader the world wanted as their own. Why is everyone upset with him? The fall, a dream derailed, but dreams, even the brightest ones, can falter under the weight of reality. Trudeau's fall wasn't sudden. It was the slow erosion of trust, the piling up of controversies, and the bitter realization that lofty promises are often hard to fulfill. Ethics scandals. The SNC-Lavalin affair in 2019 shook Trudeau's image as a principled leader. Accused of pressuring his attorney general to intervene in a criminal case for political gain, Trudeau faced backlash that undermined his moral authority. The We Charity scandal in 2020 further eroded public trust, as ties between his family and the charity raised questions about conflicts of interest. Blackface controversies. Few moments in Trudeau's career were as jarring as the revelation of multiple instances where he wore blackface. The photos, which surfaced in 2019, were a stark contrast to his progressive rhetoric on diversity and inclusion. The scandal hurt deeply, especially among minority communities, and exposed the gap between his image and his actions. Broken promises to Indigenous peoples. Despite bold promises of reconciliation, Trudeau's record on Indigenous rights became a point of contention. The approval of the Trans Mountain Pipeline, slow implementation of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action, and lack of progress on systemic issues like child welfare and missing Indigenous women all cast doubt on his commitment to genuine change. Economic criticism and rising frustrations. Trudeau's approach to deficit spending and his handling of inflationary pressures drew ire from conservatives and struggling Canadians alike. As housing prices soared and the cost of living increased, many felt Trudeau's government was out of touch with their everyday struggles. COVID-19 challenges. While his government's pandemic response included significant successes such as CERB and vaccine procurement, it was not without flaws. Confusion over public health messaging, protests over vaccine mandates, and the Freedom Convoy protests revealed the divisions that had deepened under his leadership. Vaccine mandates. Trudeau's government implemented vaccine mandates for federal workers and travelers, which sparked significant backlash from segments of the population. Many viewed the mandates as divisive and authoritarian, and as a result, he lost respect from both the left and right. Freedom Convoy protests 2022. The government's handling of the Freedom Convoy, a large protest against vaccine mandates and pandemic restrictions, became a flashpoint. Trudeau invoked the Emergencies Act to address blockades and protests, a move critics called an overreach of federal power. This decision polarized Canadians, with some praising his decisive action while others accused him of suppressing dissent. Perceived elitism. Trudeau was born into one of Canada's most famous political families as the son of Pierre Elliott Trudeau, a former Prime Minister. Growing up in the spotlight of privilege at 24 Sussex Drive, Canada's official prime ministerial residence, Justin enjoyed access to the best education, global travel, and exclusive social circles. Despite his populist rhetoric, Trudeau's privileged background and lifestyle, such as vacations on private islands, drew criticism. For many, these moments symbolized a disconnect between the leader and the people he claimed to represent. Immigration. The anger or frustration some Canadians feel toward international students and their role in immigration stems from a variety of economic, social, and political concerns. Amidst the pandemic, the surge in immigration during the pandemic sparked growing frustrations. The decision to increase immigration numbers significantly was met with criticism as rising housing prices, strained public services, and heightened job competition created tensions. The debate over how to manage immigration effectively and balance the needs of Canadian residents became a flashpoint. While international students undeniably bring economic and academic benefits to Canada, these challenges have led to a growing debate about how to manage the influx of students and ensure that the benefits are balanced with the well-being of Canadian residents. Some Canadians feel that the government and educational institutions should better address these issues, including ensuring that the housing market is adequately managed and that public services are able to cope with the rising number of international students. Conclusion. A legacy of complexity. Justin Trudeau's political story is one of stark contrasts, of a man who stirred the nation with visions of progress but faltered under the weight of unfulfilled promises. His legacy will be defined by a mixture of historic achievements, such as cannabis legalization and climate leadership, and controversies that left many questioning his credibility. Trudeau entered office as a symbol of hope, yet departed as a cautionary tale of the complexities and compromises inherent in governance. His rise was a dream of what could be, and his fall a testament to the harsh realities that often shape the lives of those who seek power.